by your art. My dearest father, you have put the well watchers in this roar. Like them. The sky seems to pour down stinky pitch, but that the sea, melting into the walking sheet, dashes the fire out. Oh, I have suffered with those that I so suffer. A brave vessel who had no doubts of noble creature in her, dashed all to pieces. Oh, the cry did knock against my very heart. Poor souls, they perished. Had I been any god of power, I would have sunk the sea within the earth or air. It should the good ship so have swallowed, and the floating souls within her.
Be collected. No more amazement. Tell your piteous heart there's no harm done.
Oh, woe the day!
No harm! I have done nothing but in care of thee. Of thee, my dear one, thee, my daughter, who art ignorant of what thou art, not knowing from whence I am, nor that I am more better than Prospero, master of a full parcel, and thy no greater father.
More to know did never meddle in my thoughts.
'Tis time I should inform thee, father. Lend thy hand and pluck my magic garment from me. So, lie there, my aunt. Wipe thou thine eyes, have comfort. The direful spectacle of the rack which touched the very virtue of compassion in thee, I have, with such provision in mine art, so safely ordered that not a soul, no, not so much petition as a hair betide to any creature on the vessel, which thou heard cry, which thou saw sink. Sit down, for thou must now know further.
You have often begun to tell me what I am, but stopped and left me to bookless inquisition, concluding, stay, not yet.
Well, the hour's now come. The very minute bid thee, ope thine ears, obey, and be attentive. Canst thou remember a time before we came into the cell? I do not think thou canst, for then thou was not out 3 years old.
Certainly, sir, I can.
By what? By any other house or person? Of anything the image tell me that hath kept with thy remembrance?
It's far off, and rather like a dream than an assurance that my remembrance warrants. Had I not 4 or 5 women once that tended me?
Thou hadst, and more, Miranda. But how is it that this sticks in thy mind? What seest thou else in the dark and backwards abysm of time? If thou rememberest aught ere thou camest here, how thou camest here thou mayest.
But that I do not.
Ah, 12 years since, Miranda, 12 years since, thy father was the Duke of Milan and a prince of power.
Sir, are not you my father?
Thy mother was a piece of virtue, and she said thou wast my daughter, and my father was the Duke of Milan, and his only heir and princess no worse issued.
Oh, the heavens, what foul play! Had we that we came from thence, or blessed was it we did?
Both, my girl, by foul play, as thou sayest, were we heaved thence, but blessedly hope hither.
Oh, my heart bleeds to think of the team that I have turned you to, which is from my remembrance. Please you, father.
My brother, and thine uncle, called Antonio, I pray thee, mark me. That a brother should be so perfidious. He who next thyself of all the world I loved, and to him put the manager of my state, as at the time, through all the signories, it was the first, and Prospero, the prime duke, being so reputed in dignity, and for the liberal arts, without a parallel. Those being all my study, the government I cast upon my brother, and to my state grew stranger, being wrapped and transported in secret studies. Thy false uncle. Dost thou attend me?
Oh, sir, most heedfully.
I pray thee, mark me. Being once perfected, how to grant suits, how to deny them, who to advance and who to trash out for overtopping, new created the creatures that were mine, I say, or changed them, more else new formed them, having both key of officer and office, changed all hearts in the state to what tune pleased his ear, that now he was the ivy that hid my princely trunk and sucked my verdure out on't. thou attendst not.
Oh, good sir, I do.
I pray thee, mark me. I, thus neglecting all worldly ends, all dedicated to the closeness and the bettering of my mind, with that which, but by being so retired, are prized all popular rate. In my false brother awaked an evil nature, and my trust, like a good parent, did beget of him a falsehood in its contrary, as great as my trust was, which had indeed no limit. A confidence sans bound. He, being thus lauded, not only with what my revenue yielded, but what my revenue might else exact, like one who, having into power, by telling of it, made such a sinner of his memory to suit his lie, he did believe he was indeed the Duke, out of the substitution and executing the outward face of royalty with all prerogative. Hence, his ambition growing. Dost thou hear?
Your tale, sir, will cure deafness.
To have no screen between this part he played and him he played it for, he needs must be absolute Milan. Me, poor man, my library was dukedom large enough. Of temporal royalties, he thinks me now incapable. Confederate, so dry he was for say, with the King of Naples, as to pay him annual tribute, give him homage, subject his coronet to the crown, and bend the dukedom yet unbowed. Alas, poor Milan, to most ignoble stupid!
Oh, the heavens!
Mark his condition and the event, then tell me if this might be a brother.
I should sin but to think nobly of my grandmother. Good wombs have borne bad sons.
Now the condition. This King of Naples, being an enemy to me, inveterate, hearkens my brother's suit, which is that he, in lieu of the premise of homage, and I know not how much tribute, should presently extirpate me and mine from the dukedom, and confer fair Milan with all the honours on my brother. Whereon, a treacherous army levied one midnight, fated to the purpose, did Antonio open the gates of Milan, and in the dead of darkness hurried thence the ministers for the purpose, me and thy crying self.
Alack, for pity. I not remembering how I cried out then. We'll cry it over again. It is a hint that brings my eyes to it.
Hear a little further, and then I'll bring thee to the present business which now is upon us, without the which this story were most impertinent.
Wherefore did they not that hour destroy us?
Ha! Well demanded, wench! My tale provokes that question. Dear, they durst not. So dear the love my people bore me, nor set a mark so bloody on the deed, but in fairer colours painted their foul ends. In few, they hurried us aboard a bark, bore us some leagues to sea, where they prepared a rotten carcass of a butt. Nor tackled, nor rig, sail, nor mast, the very rats instinctively have quitted. There they hoist us, to cry to the sea that roared to us, to sigh to the winds whose pity sighing back again did us but loving wrong.
Alack, what trouble was I then to you?
Oh, a cherubim. Thou wast that did preserve me. Thou didst smile, infused with a fortitude of heaven, when I have decked the sea with drops full salt, under my burden groaned, which raised in me an undergoing stomach to bear up against what should ensue.
How come we ashore?
By providence divine. Some food we had, and some water, that a noble Neapolitan, Gonzalo, out of his charity, being then appointed master of this design, did give us, with rich garments, linens, stuffs, and necessaries that since have steaded much. So, knowing I loved my books, he furnished me from mine own library with volumes that I prize above my dukedom.
Would I might but ever see that man?
Now I arise. Sit, and hear the rest of our sea story. Here have we landed, and here have I, thy schoolmaster, made thee more profit than other princes can, that have more time for vainer hours, and tutors, not so careful.
Heavens thank you for it. But now, I pray you, sir, for still speeding in my mind your reason for raising the sea storm?
No, thus far forth. By accident most strange, bountiful fortune now, my dear girl, hath mine enemies brought to this shore. And by my prescience I find my zenith doth depend upon a most auspicious star, whose influence, if I court not, but omit, my fortunes shall ever after droop. Here, cease more questions. Thou art inclined to sleep. 'Tis a good dullness, and give it way. I know thou canst not choose.